Hello everyone, welcome back to Through Marginalize. Welcome back to Through Marginalize. Uh, you're never gonna guess what, guys. You're never gonna guess what. I am actually on another vacation. I just, I'm very privileged. I am. I went from home to Pennsylvania to home again, and then now I'm in St. Martin. If you don't know, it's an island of the Caribbean. Yeah. So I'm on vacation again. I'm recording in my room. Well, the hotel room. I kicked everyone else out so I can have this all to myself. But yeah, we're here. It's very nice. It's very cool. You guys should come. Support local businesses here, like in other countries. If you're gonna be a tourist, then like do the local stuff and help the local people, because that makes you a good person. But it wouldn't be possible for me to come here if it wasn't for me getting my vaccine and wearing my mask up until this point, and wearing my mask in the airport, and everyone else around me getting vaccinated. So I just very desperately need everyone who hasn't gotten vaccinated yet, who is able to get vaccinated. Again, like I said last time, I don't want to live in this apocalyptic world anymore. This Delta variant is kicking in. I'm not excited. We already have to wear masks back to school this year, which I'm fine with because I don't want to get sick. But just please, if you could, that'd be great. But disclaimer also just for sound quality. People have to do their jobs. There's the cleaning people that clean the rooms. So if there's any banging or anything, then it's probably the cleaning people. But don't get mad because they're just doing their job. They're very sweet women and I love them. Speaking of women, look at my segues. I'm so smart. That was very unintentional. That was really dumb. Speaking of women, today we're going to be talking about feminism and why we need feminism and why it's important. Those are all the same statement, but I said it in different ways to make me sound smart. You get it? So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about feminism. Yeah, it's important. It's very important. I'm just going to go into a few things before we get into it. Modern feminism is obviously an evolution from earlier ways of feminism, first, second, third. I think we're on the fourth wave of feminism right now. First it was like fighting for our rights to vote and having to rely on men for being able to open our own bank accounts and being able to like wear pants and things like that without being judged. Just all those kind of things. Equal pay, all the good stuff. And I very much agree with almost every single thing that modern feminism has to offer. Almost everything. But I do have a few problems in which it is like advertised to people who aren't feminists. I think with a lot of, not all, because there are some things that people are just buttholes, they need to get over it. But there are some aspects of feminism that I think, I would consider myself a radical feminist, but I think the ones that are more outspoken do tend to not realize that the way that they express their beliefs can be quite hard for a lot of people to understand and digest. Like, I would say a lot of the things about toxic masculinity, people are not willing to listen to how that works and what it is because it is very much advertised as you should know what this is and you need to know or else you're a terrible person. And I think that turns people off from the movement and it's very counterproductive. I don't want to tone police any feminists though, because I do believe that they're doing the right thing. It's just it happens to turn a lot of more conservative people away from the idea of feminism and then think that we don't need it because we have made progress. Yes, there has been progress made in the past few years in terms of pay and rights, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done and a lot of people don't take it seriously. I'm not going to blame feminists for that, but I do think that us as feminists who have the patience need to take the time to explain it to people who don't understand it as much, the different issues that we have. So we're going to get right into today's episode. So I did a few disclaimers at the beginning. This is another thing like my Tulsa Race Massacre episode. We're going to do this in parts, as well as the fact that I have notes and I have them both on my computer and on my paper. So there might be a little bit of, a little bit of that like crinkle, if you know what I mean. And some clicking and stuff just so I can get to my articles because I want to give you guys facts and correct information. Along with my disclaimers, I do want to put a content warning, more for later in the video, but it might come up a little bit before as well, for rape, assault, and violence, specifically against women. If you're not comfortable listening to this right now or not in the capacity, you don't have to, because it might get a little bit intense later, and I don't want to put anyone through what they don't have to go through. So if anything about sexual assault, physical assault, violence, rape, anything like that, you guys are welcome to stay away from this one. I'm not going to blame you. It's a lot to talk about. So we're going to put this into 4 parts. We're going to be talking, actually, it's more like 3, because I kind of combined 2 of them, actually. So we have the wage gap, we have abortion rights, and we have femicide/sexual harassment. And we will go over all of them as we go. So let's get into it. Okay, so I want to do an initial just explanation of what these all stem from, basically. And if you don't know, or if you just don't want to take it seriously, we mostly as a Western world, there's a lot of other places that go through this also, but us mostly as a society live under a patriarchal society or under a patriarchy, which means that men are seen as superior or more of the leaders of the society. And this is a very wrong mentality to have. It definitely stems from like caveman times of men are the hunters and the leaders of our nuclear family, and women are the caretakers that take care of the kids and cook the food and don't leave the house or the home or the rock cave that you live in. Again, we're talking about cavemen here. This, I know, might have worked back when we weren't evolved yet, but it is kept strong a lot of the times with conservative people, along with through a lot of religion. Religion also instills this value, which I don't think is a very valuable value, but, contradictions that occur a lot. So the patriarchy is basically the reason for most of the problems that have to do with women in the modern world. Pretty much all of them, actually. It instills ideas of toxic masculinity, which I will be probably going over in another episode, not like super soon, but it's one that I will be going over at some point because it deserves an episode of its own. And to summarize, it gives men that the mindset that they have to be super masculine and super cool all the time, and super like macho and blah blah blah, and women have to be very submissive and just they have to follow men's lead all the time, and they can't take care of themselves, they have to take care of their kids. And again, this has caused basically all the problems that have to do with gender, including the binary, with what has to do with sexual orientation, with women as a whole, with men as a whole. The patriarchy has created almost every single issue and every social issue in today's modern society. So we're going to start as to why the wage gap falls into one of these problems. And I had a period of my life where I got a little bit into conservative YouTube for a while, and I used to believe that the wage gap did not exist. That's a very embarrassing part of my life, and I've done a lot more research, and yes, it still exists. It is still a thing, and if you don't think it's a thing, then do your research. I'm about to pull up some statistics, okay, some statistics, some facts for you. The reason this goes back to the patriarchy is because because women are seen as inferior and men are seen as better, men now in more developed countries, it's not as big of an issue, but in less developed countries, it is. Men are given more chances to go to school and learn and get an education. In a lot of Western countries, that isn't as much of a problem, but it definitely was for a while. Which means that women would have less opportunities to get jobs, and this is very prevalent in less developed countries, like countries in Africa, countries in East and Southern Asia, and some countries in Latin and South America, and even some places in the United States. It can be hard for some women to be able to go to school. Either that, or women do go to school, they work their butts off, they get where they need to go, and they still don't believe, and like their employers still don't believe that they deserve as much of a pay compensation as their male counterparts for the same job. So let's get some statistics. Over here. So, all right, we got it figured out. All right, so the resource I'm using for the racial and gender pay gap scale, and this is a study done in 2021, and it's from payscale.com. I have checked all of my sources for today. They're all reliable. I fact-checked all of them. They're all reliable sources. So we're just going to get right into it. So there's two types of gender pay gaps. There's the uncontrolled or opportunity pay gap and the controlled gender pay gap. So uncontrolled means that it's the overall, it takes every single job from every single person. Well, this is specifically in the United States, and it has no qualifications. It's just the salaries of everyone. And the controlled gender pay gap is the salary of men and women with the same job and qualifications. So the uncontrolled gender pay gap as of 2021 is that women earn 82 cents for every $1 earned by men. And I want to just put it out there that the baseline is usually white men. Just for the clarification. So women get 82 cents for every dollar earned by a man with the opportunity / uncontrolled gender pay gap. And that's the median. That's the median salary. As for controlled gender pay gap, which is the same job and qualifications, which you think would be like equal or something, it's still 98 cents for every $1 earned by a man. These are the people who have the same job qualifications and the same job. It might not seem like much, but 2% less than a man for someone you have the same job qualifications for, that's suspicious. That's weird. And the sad thing is, this is an improvement from last year. In 2020, the uncontrolled gap was 81 cents. Now it's 82. The controlled has stayed at 98 for the past, 4 years and a half. It was 97 and in 2015, and then halfway through it changed to 98. So this is technically an improvement. But here's where it gets even worse. The racial pay gap is even bigger. The biggest gap of the uncontrolled variety with white men is of Native Americans. Native American women earn 69 cents for every dollar a white man makes, and Native American men make 86 cents for every dollar a white man makes. So this is not only just about women, this is also about women of color and people of color, because of all the stereotypes that go into what a woman and what a person of color is capable of based on their stereotypes, which is pretty messed up. If you think about it, you don't have to think, it's just messed up. And this pay gap of Native American women has actually worsened since the beginning of COVID. Their pay gap used to be 75 cents to every white man's dollar, but now it's 69 cents. That makes me angry. That makes me very mad. I didn't have a chance to accurately write down all of the statistics because a lot of this is on graphs, and so I don't want to give the wrong information by saying it's the wrong cent for each point. So if you want to look at this information yourself, it was very eye-opening. Go to payscale.com/data/gender pay gap, or just look up the gender pay gap and go to Payscale, and it has their entire study on this. It is very long, but it is very informative, and I very much suggest reading through this as a whole. But for example, with the controlled wage pay gap, with black men, we have a 99 cents per dollar that a white man makes, and black women is 97 cents for every dollar earned by a white man. Again, this might not seem like a lot, but I'm going to quote directly from this article. So, the median pay for white men in our sample is $75,000. Thus, the controlled median pay for black women is $73,000, 97% of white men's earnings in the same job. For black men, controlled median pay jumps to $73,900. This suggests a $2,000 pay disparity for being a black woman and a $1,100 pay disparity for being a black man. As we see from our analysis on lifetime earnings later on, these differences in annual earnings can amount to hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars less for people of color over the course of their careers. So these cents are very important. These little tiny cents are very important, and it very much plays into the poverty rates and homelessness rates of people of color because of the fact that we don't even get paid as much as our white counterparts, let alone the male counterparts of our same race. It can be very discouraging, especially to work hard all your life and not even get compensated as much for doing the same job with the same qualifications. The fact that this is an improvement from earlier years is kind of disappointing. Just pay people the same amount of money. And yes, there are a lot of other factors that go into the pay gap, but it is right here women get paid less on average. That's just the truth. And along with this, I do want to mention something else that they said in this article. The uncontrolled pay gap for 2021 is actually going to be higher than it would be otherwise because of COVID. Now, you might think this is kind of weird. Why would that be the case? Well, with COVID, more people were unemployed, obviously. A bunch of people lost their jobs. And who is most likely going to be losing their jobs during COVID? Minimum wage workers and people who work in essential industries, which tend to have lower paying jobs, which means that the lower end of the number line is going to be cut off, which means that the median is going to be pushed farther and farther to the positive side, which means that this could possibly be a higher number than it technically would be on a normal year with normal, economic stuff. A lot of this doesn't just have to do with the wage gap. This also has to do with education for women and how it is, and especially women in other countries, how this also happens because they aren't able to get a proper education. And it also has to do with other things that keep women from getting an education, even in the first world. I want to, again, bring in the wage gap and how to get a job into how it relates to abortion rights and getting pregnant. Getting pregnant can very much set back your life plan, basically, if that's not what you want at that time. Sure, pregnancy can happen because you weren't using protection or you were not being the most careful, but it can also happen because of things like rape or incest. Do you really think that if you had a family member that raped you as, like, I don't know, a child? Let's say you had your period at 10 or 11 years old, and you had a really terrible grandfather that ended up raping you one day. Do you really think that a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old should be having a child? Would you let that happen? Let's talk about abortion rights as a whole. This was kind of like a jumpy kind of thing, but let's just talk about it. Abortion rights are being stripped away as we speak in America. But I want to go over countries as a whole and their percentages on what abortion access they have. 5% or 90 million women live in countries that forbid abortion of all kinds. 22% or 360 million women live in countries that allow abortion to save the mother if the mother is going to die during labor. 14% or 225 million women live in countries that allow abortion on health grounds, if it's going to help their health in any kind of way along the road. 23% or 386 million women live in countries that allow abortion under a broad range of circumstances, but they consider the environment and circumstances on which the person got pregnant in the first place, so they can deny you service, but it is more open. And 36% or 601 million women live in countries that allow abortion on request. Usually first world countries. America falls under that umbrella, but I will get into what states are doing in a little bit. The common time limit for abortion in the 36% of countries, 72 countries that holds 36% of women, is usually a 12-week period to get that abortion, which is usually for 12 weeks of pregnancy, or from the last time you had your period. The last time you had your period and then getting pregnant can usually be about 2 weeks before conception. So technically it's kind of 10 weeks if you really think about it. But yeah, the common time limit is 12 weeks, and the period to be able to get an abortion in these 72 countries with 36% of women. And this came from the Center of Reproductive Rights. But you see all these countries and all these women or people that can have babies that it can be that hard just to get an abortion. And a lot of these countries that don't allow women to have abortions are in countries like Africa, are in continents like Africa, South America, and in like South Asia, West Asia, the Middle East. And those are countries that have very low education rates for women and lots of low employment rates for women. And this is one of the reasons why, is because people can get raped. People get raped, accidents happen, and now they can't live a great career or have a career because now they have to take care of a kid. And it's not even their fault. And I just want to touch on something a little bit before I get into the state statistics. I understand if you are against abortion. I understand. Because religion and some other moral stuff can tell you that it's not right and that it's murder. No matter if you think that life starts at conception, or life starts when the baby is born, or life starts when it has a heartbeat, or life starts when blah, 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 blah. I let people do what they want with their bodies. And people might say, it's not the women's body, it's the baby, it's the fetus's body, which technically it's a fetus, it's not a baby yet until it's out of the womb. But it does have to do with the women's body, because the woman has to hold the fetus. And this is an argument that I saw on TikTok, actually. Don't discredit me, it's a very good argument. I just want to pull up the app for it really quick. This was a TikTok done by at I Blame Bill on TikTok. She made a wonderful argument about bodily autonomy, and it's it's not just about the fetus, it's about the women holding that, and about the women being the reason that fetus stays alive. And it goes something like this: if someone was going to die if they didn't get a kidney, like if they had a kidney failure and they were going to die if someone didn't give them their kidney, it's not a question of whether you would give it to them. It's a question of, would you be required to give that person your kidney? And if someone says no to giving that dying person their kidney, they don't have, no one's going to force them to give that person their kidney because of bodily autonomy. We respect bodily autonomy even after people are dead. If you don't choose to be an organ donor, your organs don't have to be donated anywhere. You're not required to give up your body to save someone else's life. And yes, scientifically, a fetus is a living thing, even if it's not a fully formed living thing. So, yeah, it has a heartbeat, I guess, but that woman is not required to use her body in order to keep that thing alive if she doesn't want to. So, think about that the next time you think about judging a woman for having an abortion. Just think about it. Also, the thing is that a lot of women, it's not a fun experience to get an abortion. People, it's not an easy thing, oh, okay, just gonna go have unprotected sex and then not worry about having an abortion the next day. It's not like a fun, quirky thing. It's a very traumatic and emotional experience. And I don't think that no one's glamorizing abortion. People just want access to it. Just in case things happen, people are raped, have incest happens, people have incestuous rape happens, and if unprotected sex happens and you weren't ready for that, to just take care of the mistake. It's a medical necessity. America is making it seem like it isn't that way anymore, and it is devastating, to say the very least. 19 states have enacted 94 restrictions, 12 of which are bans, on abortion since January of 2021. We had Roe v. Wade for a reason in 1974. And all of a sudden, we're wanting to cut back on all of the progress that we have made in terms of women's rights regarding abortion. There's a lot of states that are doing a lot of despicable things. The source is called U.S. States Making 2021 Moves on Abortion Rights and Access by the Thomas Reuters Foundation News. This is posted Wednesday, July 7th of 2021. Let's read off some states, shall we? There's a lot of states that are doing a lot of crappy things, but I'm only going to read off a few because otherwise my head is going to explode. So right now in Mississippi, Mississippi is enacting a bid to completely ban abortion after 15 weeks. Love Mississippi. Louisiana is also trying to do the same bid, but they're seeing if Mississippi's works out first, and then they're going to try to enact it themselves. Arkansas banned all abortions minus medical emergencies that take place. Arkansas banned all abortions except medical emergencies. Every single one of them. No exceptions for rape or incest at all. This apparently took place, if it passed. I didn't get to check if it passed, but it's supposed to take place on July 28th. So if it passed, then it's in place right now, and it exists. Texas, which is the one that we've all heard about lately, Texas passed a heartbeat or 6-week law to take effect in September, which means we only have 6 weeks to know if we want an abortion or not. Not only means that we're 2 weeks off of our period. I know you've heard this argument a lot, but it makes no sense to me because I have had my period 2 weeks late before. I've never had that, but it's that's a really dumb law to have, because women, first of all, are not going to know if they're pregnant or not by then most of the time. And by then, if they do know, if they happen to know, they're not going to be able to make that decision that fast on what they want to do with the rest of their lives, basically. It's taking effort in a month. Effect in a month, I mean. Lastly, the one I'm going to look at is one that's happening in my own state. And Oklahoma signed a ban on abortion except when a patient's life is in danger to take place in November. What the actual heck? I know kids my age who have gotten pregnant. I know kids a little bit younger than me who have. Some people who are older than me, but still in high school who have. Heck, I don't even care what age. If you're a 40-year-old woman and something happens to you, that's your business to do what you want. Because again, it's not a woman's responsibility to have to use her body to support a piece of life that she doesn't want to support. It's a person having a baby. They don't need to support a piece of life that they don't want to support. It's not their job. Unless they want to. And if they want to, that's perfectly fine. That's why I'm pro-choice. Okay? Do I want an abortion myself? Probably not. Unless I'm put in that situation. But I will never know. But at the moment, I don't see myself ever having one. But I support people's choice to have that. And also support people who want to keep their child. You're not pro-choice except for myself. I'm pro-life. But you're just pro-choice. You are allowing everyone the choice to do what they want. Your choice personally is just to not have an abortion. You're not pro-life for yourself and pro-choice for everyone else. You're just pro-choice. Okay, cool. That was my little rant, because the phrasing makes me upset. So you see all these states that are doing dumb things, and there is literally a list of the rest of the 19 states who are trying to pass anti-abortion laws and restrictions right now. And it's if these women got pregnant, especially if they got pregnant when they didn't want to be pregnant, their lives are now ruined. Sure, a kid can be a blessing. They are. Children are great, and they can be a blessing. But a lot of people who have babies cannot support a woman. Support a baby, I mean. A lot of these people who have babies cannot support that baby and make a career for themselves. You know how much, if you can do that, props to you and you're a hero. But if you can't, I can't blame you. That's a lot of work, especially if you're a teenager, especially if you're just going into college. it's so hard to make a life for yourself while trying to keep up the life of something else. And this can contribute to a wage gap because you don't get the same qualifications that you can get to get a better job or get a better promotion, along with the fact that you now have to settle for worse jobs, possibly, because you can't get those same requirements. And if you do get those requirements and you get a job, people might think that you're flaky, you're not going to be at work as long because you need to go to to kids' basketball games and just take them to school. And especially if you're younger, it's a lot to take on. Give women rights, please. We're not just fighting for women to step on every man that has ever existed and for all of them to die. We're fighting for women to be able to live their lives how they want without repercussions that are put in place. All these laws, most of these laws are written by old white men. Not only are they men, they're old. They're not even going to be here in a few years. They're going to die soon. Is that rude? I don't care. They're going to die soon. And they're men, so they don't even know what it's like to be pregnant. I'm pretty sure almost everyone has seen this, but it's like if men were the ones to have babies, we would have no restrictions on abortion. If we lived in the society that we do today, except men were the ones that had those types of reproductive organs, we would have no abortion restrictions. Because men get to do whatever they want to do in order to live their lives to the fullest, but women can't. Or people who have babies can't. How upsetting is that? Does that not make your blood boil? Does that not make you upset? Because if it doesn't, it should. If it doesn't, you're not paying attention. And speaking of how people can get babies that they don't want, we're going to move into the heavier section of this topic and get into femicide and sexual and physical harassment. Give me 1 second. I do have to change the lighting because the sun is setting and I need to make sure that I can see what I'm doing and you guys can see my face. So I'll be right back. The best lighting job, but it'll do. Alright, so we're going to be talking about femicide and sexual harassment now. I'm going to start off with femicide and then get into sexual harassment. I'm trying not to be very casual about this because this is a very serious issue and I would like everyone listening to know, if you weren't paying that much attention before, please pay attention now. This is the most important part of this whole thing. So if you don't know what femicide is targeted attacks and killing of women for being women. And it's a very prevalent issue right now. And I'm going to be using this source, Femicide and International Women's Rights, an epidemic I'm so sorry. Can I read? So this is from Femicide and International Women's Rights, an epidemic of femicide, of an epidemic of violence in Latin America, from the Global Americans. Sorry, I can't read. I'm not dyslexic. I'm just slow today, apparently. So most femicides take place in Latin America or in Caribbean countries. And in the years from 2007 through 2012, 60,000 women were murdered on average per year in gender-fueled attacks globally. Here's the difference. Yes, more men are killed a year, but more men are not killed just on the basis of being men. Because men make up 78.3% 78.7% of all homicides in the world. But they are not simply for the purpose of being a man. These murders are happening because they're mostly perpetrated by men, because men do not like women or feminine presenting people. And for 5 years, around 60,000 women each year were taken from this earth in gender-fueled attacks. The Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, or ECLAC, states that 12 women are murdered a day in these regions. This is not counting Brazil, because Brazil has one of the highest femicide rates in the world. But I don't want to give exact statistics because the same article doesn't have solidified statistics on Brazil, but it is quite a high number. And it's very sad. PR, or Puerto Rico, is in the midst of a femicide crisis right now. They're currently holding protests. I will talk about that a little bit more at the end as well. There's a lot of resources if you just look up the PR femicide right now that you'll get like news articles and stuff that have to do with their protests. And I find it funny, not haha funny, but funny, that there are literally laws created in a lot of Latin American countries and Caribbean countries that are written like punishments and stuff written specifically for violence against women. Because this happens so often in these countries, there are specific punishments for killing or hurting a woman. Like, it has to be its own separate thing because it happens so often. And it's not just in these countries either. This happens all over the world. And it's terrifying. Like, our sisters are being taken every single day. And I also want to rope this into sexual harassment. Sorry, I had to change positions, and these chairs are leather, and they're not very keen on sounding great. Let's talk about sexual harassment, because this has a lot to do with femicide as well. This is from the World Health Organization. 30% of women worldwide have been victims of sexual and or physical violence. 27% of women worldwide, the ages 15 through 49, that are in relationships are victims of sexual assault or physical assault by an intimate partner at least once. One out of every 6 women are victims of attempted or completed rape, which is from the National Sexual Violence Research Center. And then one more thing from the World Health Organization. Worldwide, 38% of murders of women are by an intimate partner. And when I was reading about some stuff about the femicide in Puerto Rico, a lot of, well, not a lot, I'm not going to say a lot, that's a hyperbole. 2 of the women I read about were killed by an intimate partner, or by someone that they knew pretty well. Let's talk about rape culture for a second. People don't think that rape culture is real. Some people don't even know what rape culture is. Let me explain it to you. Rape culture is basically an environment that we've created in our society that gives men the illusion that they have every right in the world to do whatever they want with any woman that they come across. If you're a girl or a feminine presenting person, have you ever have you been at work or just in public and you're just and someone needs to get past you and it happens to be a man, and they have to touch your waist in order to get past you. In their mind, they have to grab both sides of your waist and kind of drag it along in order for him to get past. Have you been complimented really creepily and thought that it was necessary? And that they thought it was necessary to compliment you. And I've, at work, at my job, I was sweeping the front entrance, and so whenever I sweep the front entrance and someone's about to leave, I always open the door for them. And it was these two guys that I had sat earlier in the night, and one of the guys, as I was, as he was leaving, I said, "Thank you for coming in, have a great night." And he said, "You know, you're really beautiful. I haven't been able to stop looking at you all night." Who gave you the permission to talk to me like that when in a work setting? We're not both working. You're a customer. I'm providing you a service, and you decide to hit on me? In a creepy way, too. I haven't taken my eyes off of you all night. I couldn't keep my eyes off of you. This has happened to me before 3 separate times at work. And I'm 15. Imagine how much this will happen to me throughout my lifetime. Imagine how many women have had to go through that their whole lives. Rape culture basically gives men the idea that they can say or do whatever they want to women. Boys will be boys. And then whenever people are charged for rape, whenever women or someone who was raped is able to charge someone who raped them for rape, judges will give them lighter sentences, especially if they're white men. They will give them they'll give them lighter sentences because this will ruin their reputation. This will ruin their reputation if they get charged. They're a young man. They have so much to do in life. Good. It doesn't ruin their reputation. It makes their reputation true. They're a rapist. They destroy women's lives. One judge, I don't have the specific stories of this because I've seen these and I just have them in my head, but I don't have the specific cases. So I am saying true information. It's just I don't have the sources for this. One judge even lightened a rapist sentence because the girl was wearing a short skirt and so she was asking for it, quote unquote. So it not only has to do with boys feeling entitled to being able to touch whatever part of the woman's body that they think that they can touch. It also has to do with shaming women for being and dressing how they want. This shames women for being skimpy or promiscuous. Like if a woman wears a short skirt, it's just all of a sudden she deserves to be sexually harassed. If a woman doesn't have a bra on one day because she doesn't feel like it and she doesn't have to, she deserves to be sexually harassed. You don't have a helmet on, which means I have all the permission in the world to just ram your head in with a baseball bat. If that's the logic you want to use on us femme-presenting people, then I can use that same logic on you. Because my crop top and my short shorts don't have anything to do with your perception of me. And it sucks that it has to be that way. And this is what causes a lot of these rape cases, is men's entitlement. I want to go over some risk factors of things that can make sexual harassment and physical harassment more common, or it can have, or sexual harassment and physical harassment can happen easier if these factors are present in someone's life. There's low education levels. This is why there's a lot of teen pregnancies and child marriages in countries that don't have women or girls who are educated, because education directly leads into a lot of these kind of factors of harassment and marriage and children and careers. Education levels can cause rape and sexual harassment. let's see. History of exposure to child maltreatment. If as a child you were treated badly, or if you saw other children being treated badly in your family or in close proximity to you, it can teach you that these behaviors are normal. And so when you grow up, you think that if your partner does that to you, it's normal and it's okay when it isn't. And it can instill abusive behaviors as seeming normal at a young age when they definitely very much are not. And it's very sad. Harmful masculine behaviors. And this I take to mean like the very macho mentality. There's nothing wrong with being what you consider masculine, of, wanting to like fish and hunt and blah blah, but it does become a problem whenever that's what you think a man has to be in order to be masculine, or when you equate masculinity to being violent. This can constitute something what is considered as harmful masculine behaviors. And when someone is exposed to that, again, this, as much as it is an abusive thing, people will think that this is normal to have that in their lives, and that will make them more susceptible to being around people who also exhibit these behaviors and then get hurt by that. And then social norms of masculine superiority. This has to do again with the patriarchy of, men thinking that they're better, or teaching girls that, men are better than women, or men have more power than women, or men are more than women. And this is the kicker. This is my favorite. Another factor, one of the biggest factors of what it means of the possibility of being harassed is low levels of gender equality and low levels of gender pay / employment, along with a lot of other factors. Just treating women equally and treating other genders with respect can, lower harassment rates. Who would have thunk? Who would have thought it? And I want to touch on false reports and stuff like that really quick, and what men often have to rebuttal women's trauma. False reports do happen, but they're very rare. I think they're 2% of reports on rape, according to the National Sexual Violence Research Center. And I know my own brother, who did absolutely nothing wrong, was accused of rape of this one girl as a cover-up story for her own problems. He did nothing wrong. So it does happen. But it's only 2%. And not all rape cases get reported because us as a collective feminine population have realized that police don't like to do a lot about rape, and if they do, then they very much don't do very hard punishments, or they let off the rapist easy. People say for girls to protect themselves, to carry pepper spray, to carry brass knuckles, and all these other self-defense tools. Kill the man if you have to. She did, and she got put in jail for life. A girl killed her rapist, and she was the one who got put in jail for life. Some racists get only 2 months in jail, and she went to prison for life. I want to summarize this episode, even though it was kind of a mess. I want to summarize this with the fact that women, presenting people, are not yours to control. If women want to be a housewife and cook and clean and take care of the kids, power to her. If a woman wants to shave her head, never have kids, never get married, or maybe she's queer, if this woman doesn't want to be traditionally feminine, she doesn't want to wear dresses, and she doesn't want to wear makeup, or she wears non-conventional makeup, power to her. Feminism is just about us wanting to be equal. Sure, there are people who go about it the wrong way and, want all men to perish, which I don't think is the truth or something that we should be doing. But I do think that we need to be pushing each other to uplift those who are marginalized. And a lot of this stuff, as much as this also happens to white women, all of these factors end up happening a lot more to people and women of color. Specifically, a lot of Hispanic and Black women. And Native women. Native women are the most susceptible to sexual harassment and the most susceptible to femicide. We as a society need to protect our girls. Not tell girls to protect themselves. Yes, they should learn some self-defense because there will always be bad people out there. But there are too many bad people out there, too many bad men out there that not only make these abortion laws, that pay us less, that kill us, that sexually harass us. Teach your boys to respect everyone, but especially girls and femme-presenting people. Boys will not be boys. Being violent and harassing people is not masculinity. That's being a butthole. Teach your boys to be better. Be better yourself. And let people be whoever they want to be, as long as it's not hurting anybody. I want to suggest to everyone this. I have been finding it a lot within myself to purposely be more respectful to women in my own mind. A lot of us tend to judge a lot. And I will judge for the rest of my life, because that's just how I am. And there are a lot of beauty standards and stuff that we tend to fall into, and that can be in its own episode, and I probably will do that sometime in the future. But we need to stop shaming women for choices that they choose to make with their bodies. If a woman doesn't want to wear makeup, and if a woman doesn't want to wear makeup, if she's a fat woman, if she's a person of color, if she loves to wear fake eyelashes that could be way too long, if she likes to wear wigs, if she likes to be comfortable and wear comfy clothes all the time, if she wants to get glitzed up for every single occasion, if she doesn't want to have children, if she does have children, if she has stretch marks, if she has extra skin, if she's super skinny, if she has curly hair, straight hair, don't judge. Let her live her life. Like I said, I'm in St. Martin, and so I see a lot of people who are wearing bathing suits right now. And let me just say, every single person I've seen is beautiful. No matter what kind of body is in their bathing suit, because every body is a bikini body. All those bodies deserve to be respected. Male, female, non-binary, whatever. They all deserve to be respected. That means not judging them for what they choose to wear, not judging them in what they can't change, and not using their body and viewing their body and sexualizing them in any way. That's another thing. Stop sexualizing young girls and women, especially young girls, because people like to fetishize characteristics that are only showing up in young girls, like hairlessness and very round faces and like purity and all this other crap. Stop sexualizing women for just existing. These should be the takeaways. Stop sexualizing us because it creates a lot of the problems that I listed here. Let women speak for themselves. Stop judging women for doing whatever the heck they want as long as it's not hurting anybody. And teach you and anyone else in your life to protect and take care of women. There is a lot of stuff you can say about a lot of people, and there's a lot of things going on in this world, but it would just make it so much simpler and a lot easier for everybody in one regard, to just help us out and not disrespect us. A lot of people think that they're just fine to women. They treat women the same all the time. Reflect on yourself and see if that's the truth. There are a lot of little things like comments and what you might consider compliments that are very inappropriate and not unnecessary. Unless it is, unless a woman unless someone is directly, very openly, flirting with you or whatever, don't compliment or come on to a woman at work. That is not a dating site for you. Let women do their job and make that coin, thank you. Don't make creepy compliments. You can compliment a woman, hey, you look beautiful today. But don't catcall. Don't do that weird thing that dude at my work did that was like, I haven't been able to take my eyes off you all night. I can't keep my eyes off of you. Don't do creepy compliments like that. Don't talk about how a woman's butt looks in her dress. Be respectful. In all regards, be respectful. Make sure everyone is enthusiastically happy about everything that's happening. This is also a consent talk. Make sure that everyone is enthusiastically happy about what compliments and what situations are going on around them. Yes means yes. Disrespect us. That's all we want. And fight for change. Thanks for listening, Neil. Thanks. It's kind of a serious one. I kind of got a little bit heated, but it's a very, very important for me to talk about. There's so much more that happens to women and femme presenting people every single day. This will just cover some of the basis, the basis of this. In short, respect us, read, listen, look up for yourself, teach others that don't know, and be patient. Because a lot of people still won't understand. Just be patient. But also understand where people like us are coming from. What might seem radical to you is just basic change that we want. Let's do an Instagram shout out. So I want to suggest to you guys some content creators that are women that are super cool. I found them on Instagram and one of them is on YouTube. That are just cool just to, put their platforms out there. One is an artist. She's a black woman. Her name is Eris Brene. Her out on Instagram is EBRENAES. And she does fan art for a bunch of different fandoms if you're into that. So I suggest her. So You Want to Talk About is an activist kind of Instagram page that that teaches a lot of topics and about a lot of topics in just a few slides. She puts a lot of effort into her work. It's a one woman team. I don't know her name because she's only disclosed it like one or two times publicly, but she makes really good stuff and it's very informative. And I get a lot of my information from her. She does a bunch of research and she puts a lot of effort into making her stuff look good, concise, and making it as informative as possible. So you want to talk about is the name of the Instagram account. And then last is this girl named Amanda. I absolutely love her. She is one of the best commentary YouTubers that I know. She's super interesting. She talks about issues that have to do with black women, black people, and then also about The Sims and Hamilton and a bunch of and album reviews and stuff like that. She's awesome. She's Amanda BB on YouTube and then Amanda OEE _ on Instagram. So go check all of them out. They're all super great. And the song recommendation for this episode is obviously Woman by Doja Cat. Just stream Planet Her. Planet Her, such a good album. Oh my god, it just, that whole thing could be the song, the music recommendation for this episode. But for sake of convenience, it's just Woman by Doja Cat. That song goes so hard, and I feel so empowered when I listen to that song. You have no idea. It's just so good. Just listen to it. Thank you guys for joining me all the way to the end. It means a lot. Next time, we're going to be talking about COVID. We're gonna try to tackle the big guns. We're gonna be talking about COVID and my thoughts on people's responses to it. Just my overall opinions on the pandemic. It'll be more organized once the episode comes out, but I'm about to get passionate on that one too. Thank y'all for sticking around. I hope you guys have a great day or night or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. I love you, and I'll see you next time.